Hello everyone, this is Janessa Mosley again with JM Wildlife Arc, and today I have this beautiful female that I've been excited to talk about. Her name is Waffles, and she is from the same litter as Pancake, from the exact same litter. They're both 2021, and she is a possible super hypo jungle, 66% double het blood call albino. Her brother Pancake, he's the sire to my first litter. He did prove out to be super hypo, as all the offspring in the litter came out hypo or possible super hypo. And he also proved out to be 100% het call albino. So I don't know yet. I won't know until I pair her with a male. However, there is a very, very good chance that she is super hypo as well. And there's a good chance that she will prove out to be het for call. And in my opinion, I really think there's a good chance she will be het for blood as well, as she has a lot of color on her sides, on her face, on her belly. She's got an orange belly almost completely through, from her starting, I believe, either from her head, actually no, starting from her neck. Starting from about here is when it starts to get orange and goes all the way down. So, like I mentioned, I try not to have favorites. I love all my boas. I love all the animals we have. However, I do particularly really like Waffles. Between her color, her pattern, and her temperament, she is one of the sweetest boas I own. Most of the boas I have, if not almost all of them, are very sweet. They don't mind when you handle them. Some of them, I don't know if they like to be handled, but they do seem to be rather curious and enjoy coming out of their enclosure and just kind of hanging out. Waffles is one of those. She's just very sweet. She's never hissed at me. She's never tried to strike at me, or has never bitten me. She's a very sweet girl. I really love the color that she has on her, especially on her face that goes all the way down her sides. One of my goals is to produce some really nice hypo, possible super hypo jungles, and really hope that she proves het for call and het for blood. That way I can make some really nice sun glow jungles, or possibly blood jungles. Or if she proves out het for both, I could make some beautiful jungle sun dragons, is the big time goal here, that have this beautiful jungle, trophy jungle pattern, have that beautiful color. And once again, she's got a wonderful temperament. Like I had mentioned in my previous video, I do not know if temperament is genetic or not. That's something I'm a little bit curious to find out more about. As far as I can tell, with my first litter between Pancake and Aurora, which once again, Pancake is her brother from the exact same litter. They're both 2021. And between Pancake and Aurora, my first litter that they had produced in 2024, last year in May, almost all the babies are fairly friendly. There are two of them that are a little bit feisty when you first go to take them out of their enclosure. However, I do think that's fairly normal. Nothing really likes to be just taken out of its space, especially by an even larger animal. Especially when they're still small, they're still young, they're still getting used to human interaction. So after I take those two particular boas out, they're perfectly fine with being handled. So temperament is kind of a interesting topic. I do think it can be genetic. At the same time, I do think it matters a lot on how much a boa is handled, how often they come into contact with humans. I think that plays a huge role in it as well, especially when they're young. Once a boa gets older, I feel it can be much harder to work with them if they do have a more feisty temperament, if they are more nervous, if they aren't used to human contact. Which, once again, Waffles is. She's very friendly. One of, if not the friendliest boas I have. I've taken her to a couple expos. Children have held her numerous times, have pet her numerous times, and she's just done fantastic. So, I know I need to work on not saying as much. So that's one of the things I want to work on in my videos and while I'm talking and explaining the boas is working on my vocabulary as well. So one of the goals that I have for Waffles as well is I have a couple males I'd like to pair her with. The first male I'd like to pair with her is actually Alucard. He's the IMG 100% het blood Nicaraguan boa that I had shown and mentioned in my previous video. And the goal with that pairing would be to produce some beautiful IMG hypo jungles, IMG jungles, depending on if she proves out super hypo or not. If she proves out super hypo, the entire litter will be hypos. If she does not prove out super hypo, some will be hypos, some will not be hypos. So that will be interesting to see too, to see if she proves out super hypo or not. So the goal with that is to see if she proves out super hypo, and then I would really love to produce some really nice IMG hypo jungles, with or without hypo, with or without super hypo. The main goal is the IMG and the jungle, and to see if she does prove out super hypo or not. But to produce some IMG jungles and really hope that she proves out het for blood. I know the male is 100% het for blood, so there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to prove out het. However, she is 66% double het blood call albino. So 66% chance basically means that she's either 0% or 100%. I will not know until I pair her. I'm debating on pairing her either this coming October or waiting until the following October. I haven't quite decided. I don't want to say hesitant, but I'm not sure if I should give her another year, wait until she's a little bit older, being that she is one of my favorite females, and I am very excited to pair her. I don't want to rush the process. I don't want to pair her too soon, which I want to kind of see and hear people's opinions on if you guys think I should pair her this coming October or the following October, so October of 2025 or October of 2026, which I'd like to pair her with Alucard, the IMG 100% het blood, to see if she proves out het for blood. There is another male I would like to pair with her, that's Pochita. That's the male I mentioned in my first video. He is the 2022 hypo blood, 66% het call albino. However, I want to wait and see if he proves out call first. I want to see if he proves out het for call. That's why I'll be pairing him with Aurora this October. So that leaves Alucard is the next, or the other male I would like to pair with Waffles. So I don't know if I'll be pairing him with her this year or next year. That's something I'm debating on. There's no rush. That's why I'm almost thinking it would be better to wait. I don't know how often boas have litters at 4.5 years old. I don't know if that's too young, if that's too small. I know some people say they can have litters at that age and at that size. However, just because they can doesn't mean that they should. That's what I'm want to do a little bit more research on, hear other people's experience before I make the decision on pairing her. Being that Alucard is a Nicaraguan boa, he is smaller, so they should produce smaller offspring, and it should be, I'm guessing, easier for her to produce with a smaller male versus a bigger male. That should be easier on her body. So that's one reason I was considering doing it this year. That would be very exciting for me. So I do have one pair already lined up for sure. That's going to be Pochita, the Hypo Blood 66% Het Call, and Aurora, the Lipstick Line Sun Glow 100% Het PK Stripe. So that's one pair I have lined up. I may or may not be pairing Waffles. And then I have a Hypo Nicaraguan female that there's a good chance I'll be pairing her as well. There's a chance I'll be pairing her with a blood Nicaraguan male, Sketty, one of the males I mentioned from yesterday's video as well. So I may be having 2 or 3 pairs this October that I'm excited about. Main goal is to make sure that the boas are healthy no matter what, that mom is healthy, that potential moms are healthy, that the males are healthy, and then the next goal would be to produce healthy offspring. So I don't want to rush the process. Once again, this is a passion for me. My biggest thing is making sure the animals, the boas I work with, are healthy, happy, and comfortable. And then next in line after that would be breeding them and reproducing them. Main goal is to always make sure that they're healthy, that they're happy no matter what. That always comes first. Isn't that right, Waffles? So, very excited. Waffles is just beautiful. I've had a lot of people message me about her, inquire about her. No, she is also not available. She is one of my personal boas. I will probably have her for her entire life, whether she produces, does not produce. Me personally, I've not been breeding boas for terribly long. I've only been breeding boas. Well, I've had boas since June of 2021. I had my first litter in May of 2024. So I've only been breeding boas for the last year, almost 2 years or so. However, like I said, I don't just look at my animals for breeding. I look at them as animals. I look at them as living beings. Thus, I want to make sure I respect them and treat them as such. And whether my boas produce or not, the ones that I plan on keeping, I plan on keeping most likely forever. The only way that would change is if I decided to not keep boas anymore for whatever circumstance that may be, in which case I would make sure all my boas find good homes. However, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I really plan and would like to work with the boas for years and years to come, if not my entire life, like I mentioned in one of my other videos. I would really like to produce my own boas that then produce their own boas, in the sense of producing my own, not necessarily my own lines, but basically saying I produce these boas, and when they have a litter, if they have a litter, I can say yes, that I produced the parents and continue producing my own boas down from there. There's a term for it, I just can't think of it at the moment. I do have a harder time with words. I do apologize for that. If I mispronounce anything, if I say something that sounds maybe a little bit confusing, sometimes I get a little bit tongue twisted. Once again, I do apologize. I can have and do have a hard time with words and pronouncing names. So I don't mean to offend anybody in any way, shape, or form if I accidentally mispronounce something. That's one thing I wanted to mention. So I want to go ahead and just keep showing Waffles off here for a little bit. I've been really excited to make this video, primarily just to show her off and to talk about her and her genetics and the males I potentially pair or plan on pairing her with. She has one of, if not the most beautiful color contrast I have seen. If you've noticed, she's got just these beautiful, beautiful dark orange sides with that beautiful light tan buckskin color. And then that beautiful dark jungle trophy pattern with different variations of red, brown. You can see the black outline in there. she's just got a beautiful color contrast. She looks even more incredible in person than she does through pictures and through videos. I can guarantee that. I could stare at her all day. I could hold her all day. I could stare at her all day. She would probably let me do so too. She's very, very calm and relaxed. Just likes to hang out. She's a female. I do plan on taking to more expos once I start vending at more expos. So far, I've only vended at one, and that was the Chico, California Reptile Expo in 2024. Being that I live in Paradise, which is not far from Chico, I do plan on vending at the Chico Reptile Expo yearly. So I would like to expand that at some point. Right now I'm not at that point, being that I'm just kind of not ready to travel that far with different situations at home and such. Doing expos and shows locally is more ideal for me right now. At some point I would like to do farther expos, like the Sacramento show, the Roseville show. One day to do the LA, the Anaheim reptile show would be fantastic. I'm not quite at that point yet. However, that is a future goal of mine. So that is something I'm excited for in the future to do. Continuing to make more videos, make more content. There's, like I said, a lot of different topics I would like to talk about. I would like to go over my experience with the boas, what I use as far as enclosures, substrate, heating. That's something I would like to go over more in another video. That way I can actually show everyone the different enclosures I have, the different heating I have, what substrate I use, the different kinds of substrate that I've used before, or when I do change my substrate, I don't use the same substrate constantly. I do try to change things up a little bit just to see what works best. I always find for myself it's best to keep an open mind, taking in new information, not just staying in the same routine, learning new things to find out what works best for myself, what works best for the boas, and just learning things as I go. By no means, I do not consider myself an expert. I do not consider myself a professional. I would like to one day work to the point where I consider myself a professional. I do think that I'm on the right path to that point. I've come a long way, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm proud of where I've come, all the people I've met, all the people I've got to talk to, interact with. As much as I've learned about the reptiles over the years, as much as information as I've been able to share with people about the reptiles over the years, has been very enjoyable for me. I would like to continue to do so. Working with reptiles, especially boas, is a huge passion and hobby, and I'm most likely going to say that in every video. I will probably say a lot of similar things in the videos. I do make content and videos for viewers, for people to see. However, a lot of this is for myself as well. As I mentioned before, I find it very therapeutic, holding the boas, looking at the boas, working with them, talking about them, sharing more of what's on my mind, my projects, my ideas, my experiences. That's what I would like to do more with these YouTube videos. I would like to create longer content. It's up to the viewers if they want to watch the full videos or not. I understand if you do or don't. They do tend to be kind of long. I can talk for a really, really long time. I just have a much harder time talking in public environments, as I am very shy and socially awkward. And as I mentioned before, I have a harder time with words and sometimes pronouncing certain things. So that makes it harder to talk as well. So, being I can do this in the privacy of myself in my own home, it makes me feel much more comfortable to be able to talk about the boas, share the boas, go over the different care routines I have for them that I'm working on. Like I said, I try not to keep the same routine. You know, there are some things that obviously are not going to change. For example, getting food for the boas. I would like to add variety in their food. However, I feed them frozen thawed. So I do feed the young boas live if they do not choose to eat frozen thawed. However, the end goal before a boa reaches a year old is to get them on frozen thawed, in my opinion. I find that it's easier for myself, it's easier for the boas, it's a lot less risk on them. When they're young, it's much easier for them to eat live, yes. However, the older they get, the bigger food they have to get, the more potential of a risk it poses. Feeding live rats, if a rat bites the boa, or any snake in this case, it can cause an infection, which can potentially cause serious health issues or even death. I have only experienced that once. I had a boa that was shipped to me before I really started getting fully into the boas, before I decided to really breed them. I had a boa shipped to me from an inexperienced breeder who no longer breeds boas. I'm not going to mention any